Hi chums, potato reveal number 3. This one is number 11, Charlotte 1I. Now what does that mean? I just need to check my wee book here. Yeah, what I did here was, you can see there number 11, Charlotte 1I. I put in the potato. There's the rain starting now. It was beautiful sunny a few minutes ago. I put one potato in and I rubbed off every single eye except one to see would that make any difference by putting all the power or all the reserves into one eye. So we'll see what we've got here. I gave all the rest of the potatoes away. I think there's a touch of hailstones there as well. So I gave the rest of the potatoes away. My brother-in-law came over last night, or the night before, and I gave him, it was last night? I think it was last night. I gave him all the potatoes. No, it wasn't, it was the night before. He called over to see us and I gave him all the potatoes, the Maris pears, because he said to me, let's go and get some potatoes or something, and I said, look, do you want some? And I had a bag ready for him anyway, so it worked out dead on. So, no word back yet. He mustn't have cooked them. So, hopefully you like them. I was talking to Chris about the Maris pears. The Maris pears are a lovely potato, but they don't have, and he got the word from me, they don't have the earthy taste that Charlotte have, which is very nice. Another potato has that is Jersey Royal. They have an earthy potato, but they also, in Jersey, they use seaweed as a fertilizer. Same as on the west coast of Ireland, that was the only fertilizer people had, and you can still see it today. You can see the tractors going down and drawing off seaweed to put on the land over in the west coast of Ireland. So it gives the potatoes a unique taste. So they don't. These ones, the Charlottes, have an earthy taste. These are Charlotte. They have kind of an earthy taste. The Maris pear don't, but the Maris pear are very nice. Okay, so let's go. I don't know what to expect here. There was good growth on it now, so hopefully that'll be good. Right, those buckets are brilliant. Really are. Right. So I was talking about National Health Service the last time, and about the pressures there are on the National Health Service, and Obamacare was mentioned, and I happened to say to the person that, you know, I hope that you guys know that there's going to be a lot of abuse and stuff, as well as the good it does. There'll be a lot of abuse. Australia, the National Health Service is the pride and joy of Britain. When it was set up, I think 1958, it was brilliant because it gave people free healthcare. But the problem was they didn't anticipate the modern advances in modern medicine and that people were going to live so long, nor that the medical advances would cost so much money. So people are still contributing to the National Health Service. You hear that? They're still contributing at the rate that was set in 1958, but we're like 60 years further on now, you know. So they're trying to work out how to make it work, and that's one of the problems. The doctors are getting their budgets cut to try to save money, but it's hard to do things with money you haven't got, you know. So there's another issue as well as abuse, and that's a big issue here. I'll give you an example. ADHD. ADHD is a new epidemic. When I was a teenager, I managed to escape from the 60s and then the 70s with my tonsils intact. But most of my friends who coughed were dragged straight down to the hospital, thrown onto a hospital bed, and then dragged down to the theatre and got their tonsils cut out. And they were like skip loads of tonsils behind every hospital, because all the teenagers who coughed got their tonsils out, tonsillectomy, and you got ice cream afterwards, and nobody minded because you got ice cream in hospital, and you got a week off school, so it wasn't so bad. But there's no more, you never hear anybody getting their tonsils out now, but we all hear about ADHD. I'm going to probably court some controversy now when I say that when I was growing up, ADHD was dealt with a good smack, and you didn't do it again, basically. But we've got different thinking now on these topics, and there's lots of medication. Now, what goes on? Well, I know that there's a certain place in the town beside me where young mothers go to, and it's like a clinic designed, it's a restaurant, But they go in with their babies in pushchairs and they learn from more experienced mothers what to give the children so that when they go to the doctor they are hyperactive. So one of the things is undiluted orange juice and the other one is undiluted Ribena. It doesn't do the child any harm as such, but it does make them pretty high for the period they're in the doctors. And doctor, I can do nothing with them. So that starts the whole process of ADHD and medication. Now, over here, if your child is on medication for particular illnesses, you can then claim a benefit called disability living allowance, where there are payments made to you to help you cope with the illness your child is suffering. So then you can claim for the ADHD, and that gets you certain benefits. But the problem is that you have to maintain that claim, and you maintain the claim by using the medication that your child has been given. But you don't use the medication. You don't want to give your child medication it doesn't need. And if you're making a spurious claim for this, I'm taking ADHD as an example. There are lots of other examples as well. But in this particular instance, you don't want to give your child all this medication because it does. You know your child doesn't need it. But what you do is you take the medication every month. That's free. Remember, we don't pay for our scripts in Northern Ireland. And you put that in the cupboard. And every day you take out of it the tablets that should have been used by the child, just in case a DHSS inspector arrives to see how you're coping with your child and its ADHD. So you have to show that medication is being used. So you just dump the tablets every day, and then you go down the next month and you get another handful of prescriptions and you start the process again. So these expensive medications are not being used, but they're being acquired in order to keep the claim for disability living allowance alive. So it means that as long as a child is on the medication, you get disability living allowance and all the benefits that go with that. And it's a very good allowance to get. Now, there are people who definitely deserve to get the benefits that go with their child having genuine ADHD. But there are a lot of cases where children do not have ADHD, but there are claims being made on their behalf and medication being claimed every month to treat it in order to support a spurious DLA claim. Now, in Australia, there's the original potato, which isn't just mush. In Australia, they decided to try a national health service because it's a fantastic thing for a country to have if it works. And in Australia, they found that it almost broke the country within months, because people were going to the doctor, getting a prescription for something spurious that they don't have, but they could have the symptoms. Then they would go into the one example that was quoted was a girl would get a prescription for an illness, go into a chemist or a pharmacist and say, how much is that prescription worth? And they would say it's worth $100, and she would say, okay, then give me $50 worth of makeup. And then the chemist would claim for the medication, but she would get the $50 worth of makeup for nothing. And on the books, everything looked good. And that's the sort of thing that's going on. And then people were also using basically the access to medicine to get medicine for people overseas and sending it across to other places where they couldn't actually get it, or they would have to pay for it. And that's going on here as well. People are getting medication here and sending it to other countries where people where their sons or daughters or children would have to pay. Our grandchildren would have to pay for the medication. So there's a lot of abuse associated with a free benefit like free prescriptions or free health. And free health is not cheap. It's very, very expensive. Over here now, for a number of years, I think the Conservative government have been pushing private health insurance as the way to go. Now, it's hardly surprising to know that a lot of the backers of the Conservative Party have got interests in medical issues and medical insurance. So they're There are big companies pushing the Conservatives like mad to try to get us to have to buy private health insurance. And they would love us to go that direction. And already we do have private medicine. You can buy health insurance here and have private health insurance, which gets you almost immediate access to medication and operations and stuff. It's expensive, but if you can afford it, it's a good way to go. But what they want is that everybody will have to buy their medication or buy their health care, which means that even the poor people who can't afford it are going to have to pay for health insurance. That is wrong, okay? And I think people who can't afford health insurance should be given the health care that they need for free. I have no problem with paying for my own care, because I'm in a very fortunate position that I can afford to pay for private medication if I wanted it. But I don't need to, because I get free health care on the National Health Service. But if there was some sort of sliding scale came in where I would pay an appropriate amount towards my care, I wouldn't mind that, because I think that's fair. But I also think that the rich people should pay the appropriate amount towards their care as well. But at the end of the day, you can assess a country, how well a country looks after its people, by how they look after their poor people. And if poor people have to end up paying for medical care they can't afford, they're not being looked after. That's the bottom line. So, despite my rant about people cheating, I'm fully in support of people who cannot afford care getting free care. I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. But I have a problem with people who are maybe well off, are getting free care and also abusing the care they're getting by making spurious claims. That's not good. So that's something you've got to watch out for, America, that you can police this in such a way that the figures tally up, because once things are given out for free, everybody tries to get a lot of people try to get as much as they can and more. So, and you know how that ends up. There's what we have, folks. That's the carrot. No, that's a Charlotte. That's from one potato. So we'll do our little weigh in and see what happens. So that's my National Health Service rant over. The National Health Service is very good when it works. I'm very lucky because I'm in the system now. Once you get into the system, you're laughing. But as getting in is a problem, by getting to see a doctor and everything, you know. But as I said before, I'm also very fortunate that my doctor's own ethos is don't take on more patients than you can actually cope with, because otherwise you can't give the best care that they should be getting, you know. It's just a very commendable attitude. That's that done. Right, I'll just get my glove off here so I don't mess up my camera. But, what do you call it? As I was saying, just to qualify that again, I'm fully in support of people who need the care and the children who need the care getting it. But I do have a problem with people abusing the care to access other benefits that they're not entitled to. Okay, so you know the procedure here, guys. I'm going to have to turn the camera around. But I've got everything set up in such a way that all I have to do is that, and we're on. Oh, here, I'm getting pretty good at it now, haven't I? Let's see if this gives it a wee cheek up there, and we can get it a bit closer so you know there's no cheating. Right, that's us, and then we should have a hello here. Hello. Okay, and then we'll stick our bag of spuds on. This is one potato, and we've got 3.3 pounds from one potato. That's about 1.5 kilos. What are we doing here? That's a temperature. 1.5 kilos exactly, yeah. So 1.5 kilos, 3.3 pounds from one average sized potato. I'm happy with that, okay? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all this stuff, all this information collated at the end to see what were the things that were worth doing, you know. So we'll see how that goes. So there you are, folks. That's it. We'll just pull this thing back again from there. And oh, too close. No, not too bad. So that's where we are, folks. I have just edited my first video. I did 3 shed videos and put them together. Now all I've did is I attached one onto the end of the other. But But the problem I'm having is I use Windows Movie Maker, Windows Movie Maker, Media Maker, whatever it is. But there's no picture on my screen. I can't see what I'm editing. So I just had to tack the 3 videos together for the time being. So we'll see how it goes. Okay? I'll go and get this up and upload it tonight. Right, all the best then. Bye bye.